Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho. We're coming to you on this Friday, on the 21st day of November, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. To get to the stories that matter today. Ombudsman Romualdez disclosed that former House Speaker Martin Romualdez contacted him immediately after being linked to the flood control scandal. Romualdez added that Romualdez categorically denied the allegations. 8 individuals, including former Bamban Tarlac Mayor Alice Go, were found guilty of qualified human trafficking connected to the Baofu Pogo and scam operations. The convicts were sentenced to life imprisonment and must pay a 2 million peso fine each per case, in addition to reparations for the victims. More skeletal remains were recovered from Tal Lake this November, the Justice Department confirmed, as the search for the missing Sabongeros continues. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, Ombudsman Romualdez reveals that Martin Romualdez reached out to him to clear his name, just as investigators prepare possible charges and review allegations involving top officials. More in this report.
At a public forum, Ombudsman Boying Remulla revealed that former House Speaker Martin Romualdez once called him after he was linked to the flood control scandal. According to Remulla, Romualdez denied all allegations against him. The two are fraternity brothers, and Remulla described their relationship as close.
I answered this call once because we respect each other.
Well, he was trying to explain his side that he had no hand in many things. But that's all I can remember.
Anong sagot?
Wala, just, diba? We just followed the evidence.
Remulla added that after that call, he never spoke with Romualdez again, saying he wanted to focus on the case. It was security consultant Orly Guteza linked to Congressman Zaldico, who earlier claimed he delivered suitcases of cash from alleged flood control kickbacks to the home of Romualdez. Ko himself confirmed the claim in a video statement. For now, the Ombudsman's investigation into Romualdez is ongoing. When asked when charges could possibly be filed, Remulla said,
"It will be filed within the year. I mean, not this year, but at least in the next 6 months or 9 months.
Oh, yes, yes.
You think so?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll hold you to that.
Yes, ma'am. I do not want to file a lousy case. I will never file a lousy case. I'm not that kind of person. I want things to be done properly. I want it to be documented. I want it to be solid.
Remulla also earlier said the Ombudsman will investigate the other names mentioned by Ko in the video, including President Bongbong Marcos.
The evidence will take you where it will take you. But the investigation will always lead to somewhere that, to some people who will be culpable. And we don't know where it will lead us right now. The revelations are fresh, and we're checking on everything.
Kahit sino pa po ito.
Wala naman tayong magagawa kasi nandiyan na yan eh. Hindi ko naman kinuha yung opisina to para magtakip para kahit kanino. I didn't get this office for that.
Just this Tuesday, the first case related to the flood control scam was filed against Ko and officials of DPWH Mimaropa and SunWest.
President Bongbong Marcos said all information on flood control projects gathered by the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, and the DPWH will be referred to the Ombudsman for proper investigation. Marcos noted that the reports included allegations against former Speaker Martin Romualdez and former Congressman Zaldico. He expressed confidence that the Ombudsman will act impartially and that the investigation will proceed wherever the evidence leads.
Nais kong ipalaman sa ating mga kababayan na ang ICI at saka ang DPWH ay lahat ng nakuha nila na impormasyon ay ire-refer, ibibigay na sa Ombudsman para imbestigahan ng Ombudsman. Ito ay tungkol sa mga impormasyon ng dating Speaker Martin Romualdez at saka ni Zaldico. Pag nakita lahat ng ebidensya, baka mag-file ng kaso ng plunder o anti-graft o indirect bribery.
Now, prior to the latest statement of the president, Zaldi Co's lawyer, attorney Rui Rondain, said his client has sufficient evidence to back his allegations in the flood control and budget insertion issues. Rondain told the big story that receipts and documents will eventually be turned over to government. He also indicated that Co may seek state witness status, claiming a lesser degree of culpability in the matter.
I've seen the evidence. He has enough. I don't know if he's shown me everything, but I've said this also. No, I let my witnesses tell their story. I don't want to preempt him. Certainly, let's let him tell his story.
Rondain added that they intend to contest the graft charges filed against Co and will pursue all available legal remedies. He also downplayed Ombudsman Boy Remualdez' assurances on Co's protection.
We'll fight it first. Labanan muna namin. Available the remedies available under the law. So, and then we'll see where we go from there. Because ang feeling talaga namin, ako personally, is talagang walang kaso.
Former Banban Mayor Alice Go has been convicted of qualified human trafficking, sentenced to life in prison, and ordered to pay millions in fines. Mobile Journal Ardas de Santos with the report.
More than a year of congressional hearings on offshore gaming operations and a manhunt that took authorities to Indonesia. Who could forget this face and name? Alice Go, or Go Haping, an entrepreneur who became mayor of Bamban Tarlac in 2022 until her expulsion from government service.
Ako po ay isang Pilipino. At lalo na po hindi pa Spanish. Wala na po talagang malala. Also, ayaw ko po talaga ma-mention yung word na wala po ako malala. Pero wala po talaga
No, I'm not
ako
asking about...
Your Honor, lumaki po ako sa farm.
Fast forward to November 20 of 2025. The PAOCC City Regional Trial Court decided on the qualified human trafficking case filed against Go and 7 others: Rachel Carrion, Jemelyn Cruz, Walter Wong Rong, Wang Weili, Wu Lidong, Lang Shupong, and Nong Ding Chang. The verdict: guilty, with a sentence of virtual lifetime term or reclusion perpetua or 20 to 40 years in jail. Each will also have to pay 2 million pesos in fines. When Go and company are done serving their sentence at the Nubalibid prison, they will be deported. According to the PAOCC RTC, there was solid evidence that the group had organized and funded Baofu Land Development Incorporated, which owned the compound in Bamban. This Pogo and online scam hub was raided in 2024. And despite Go's repeated denial of being a Baofu shareholder, the court said there's undeniable proof of her connection to the company. Proof such as Alice's car, parked in the area where the raid took place, as well as electric bills and ghost villas in the compound. For the prosecution and the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, this is a momentous victory.
Ang kaso is qualified human trafficking, so confidential po lahat ng detalye sa trafficking. Except, alam niyo naman po kung sino ang mga akusado na hinihintay natin ng conviction. So finally, after more than 1 year, napakabilis po ng korte, binigay sa atin yung favorable decision. First time tayong nag-file ng organizing human trafficking under Section 4L of the Anti-Human Trafficking Law. So first time din na nag-convict ang court ng organizing.
It is something symbolic para sa bansa to. What we thought before as parang imposible, ngayon napatunayan natin that sa pagkakaisa ng bawat ahensya, pagtutulungan, and with all the dedication and sincerity, nothing is impossible. Ang masasabi ko lang with this victory, it is not just a victory for the government, but a victory for the victims, for the community, and pati na rin sa ibang bansa.
The Baofu compound, worth an estimated 6 billion pesos, will be ceded to the government. The National Treasury will serve as caretaker, and a technical working committee will later on recommend to President Marcos how the property will be utilized.
And coming right up, we'll be discussing the guilty verdict handed down to Alice Go with the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission spokesperson Winston Castro. Don't go away, Morning Matters will return. Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho, and here in Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. As we know, former Banban Mayor Alice Go has been sentenced to life imprisonment, and this comes after a Pasig court found her guilty of qualified human trafficking linked to an illegal pogo hub in her town. Prosecutors say Go and 7 others were convicted and ordered to pay 2 million pesos each, while the Baofu compound used in the operation will be forfeited to the government. Go attended the promulgation via video conference and will be transferred to the Correctional Institute for Women. And now we have on the show Winston Castro, spokesperson of the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, one of the key agencies that built the case against Alice Go. Magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Hi, Gretchen. Magandang umaga po at magandang umaga sa iyong taga-subaybay.
A guilty verdict for Alice Go and 7 others. How significant is this for PAOCC, and how does this help you with other cases?
Well, for one, napakahalaga nito because this is the first time that someone or some individuals were convicted for organizing a business enterprise for the purposes of conducting trafficking in persons. So this is precedent setting. No, so nasabi na rin kahapon ni Undersecretary Nicolas Felix T. ng Department of Justice that the same case theory has been used to file the criminal charges against Cassie Leong and Harry Roque. So we're hoping that with this precedent setting, we'll be able to secure a similar conviction against the individuals we charged at Lucky South 99. Second, the Baofu compound or the Bamban compound has now been forfeited in favor of the state. That's around 6 billion pesos worth of real estate property. So malaking bagay po yun.
Okay, you mentioned that this could be used in the cases against Harry Roque and Cassie Leong. In what capacity was Alice Go linked to the crimes inside the Pogo Hub? She was direct owner, tama po ba?
Yeah.
Incorporator.
She was a direct owner. She owned the land. Basically, the land that became the Baofu compound. So, ang case theory doon was she bought the land with express intention of setting up a business for the purposes of Philippine offshore gaming operation. Not only that, that in itself is not a crime. But we were able to prove, the state was able to prove that the Zone 1 technology, though in paper was a Philippine offshore gaming operation licensed, duly licensed by PAGCOR, but nevertheless, the business operations was more on scamming and human trafficking. Kaya that in itself we were able to prove that in court, so we were able to convict her and the 7 others.
Is it possible, were they able to establish that she knew all the things happening inside the Pogo Hub? Because this could also be a precedent for other landowners who leased out to the Pogo Hubs and Pogo companies.
I wasn't able to read the other portions of the decision yet. Yung dispositive portion pa lang ang nabasa ko. But nevertheless, the law is quite clear. If you allow your property to be used for purposes of trafficking in persons, you're guilty of organizing trafficking in persons by itself. Now, if you are a landowner or if you are a landlord, a lessor of some sort, you're duty bound to conduct due diligence for what purpose or purposes your property is being used, right? So failure to do so, at the very minimum, would expose you to civil liability. But here, we're not just talking of civil liability, we're talking of criminal liability. The state was able to prove that.
And how many were the victims of human trafficking by this specific Pogo Hub?
We were able to rescue more than 300 foreign nationals therein. And the complainants, there were 6. Basically, complainants were able to prove that there was a systematic um, trafficking in person activities inside Sunyuban Technology or Bamban.
For reparations po, ito pong 6 lang ang malamang ang makakatanggap po nun.
That I would not be able to answer at this point.
Okay.
Kasi that would be before the Department of Justice. But what we are certain of is the property has been forfeited in favor of the state. A portion of that property proceeds, a portion of the proceeds of that property will go to the Department of Justice, IACAT, Interagency Council Against Trafficking, to finance and sustain their anti-trafficking efforts.
Okay. And what evidence do you think was the most crucial in securing a guilty verdict?
Well, it's a confluence of of evidence Kasi for one, we've got a number of documentary evidence that point to Alice Guo being a direct participant of the business of Zunyuan. Second, we were also able to secure testimonial evidence. Foreign nationals who were victimized, who were maltreated, and who were forced into scamming activities inside Sunyuan. Second, we were also able to secure testimonial evidence from 2 individuals who were incorporators but who were merely used as dummies to be incorporators of Sunyuan Technology. And their testimony was they personally they were personally instructed by Alice de Alguo or Guwaping and paid 500,000 each to affix their signatures as dummies for Sunyuan Technology.
So, yung dun po sa 7 others, would you know if ito po yung mga business partners po niya?
4 of them were foreign nationals who were convicted for acts of trafficking. Magkaiba po kasi yun. Si Alice Guo and the 3 others, the Chinese nationals primarily Wang Ziyang, Lin Baoying, and Xiang Ruijin, the 4 of them were convicted for organizing a business for trafficking in persons. Yung 4 naman po, they were convicted for acts of trafficking. Yun na yung they induced, they forced people to conduct this and that. So, magkaiba po yun.
So, ito po ay foreign nationals din ho, yung 7.
No. Meron pang, if I am not mistaken, 3 were tried in absentia, but the conviction was not secured yet because they did not appear in court. But the 3 others were Filipinos. Let me correct myself.
Really? And in what capacity were they involved?
Well, they were the incorporators, no? And they were not dummies. They were able to prove that they knew what they were getting into. Unlike others that were, there were a few others who were not convicted because they didn't know what they were getting into. And 2 of those, by the way, 2 other Filipinos who were originally charged turned into state witnesses. Sila yung nagpatunay that they were paid 500,000 each to be able to sign the incorporation papers. And it was Alice Guo who talked to them personally and paid them 500,000 each.
Okay. If ever ho at no si Cassie Leong, would she have the same type of cases Alice Guo?
Well, we have already filed criminal cases against the PORAC principals, and that includes Cassie Leong and the former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. In fact, criminal arrest warrants have already been issued against them. Unfortunately, we have not been able to arrest Cassie Leong yet. But we were able to arrest some of her cohorts na. Well, you know that former presidential spokes is seeking asylum in Netherlands. So we've already applied for a red notice or an international police arrest warrant against the former presidential spokes. Unfortunately, it's still going through the process now. So we're still waiting for the red notice to be issued.
Pero dun po sa involvement ni Harry Roque, dating presidential spokesperson, hindi po ba siya po ay nailista doon sa parang legal team po nung korporasyon sa PAOCC? Have you been able to establish that he also had some kind of awareness when it comes to the illegal activities in the hub, that he was complicit, that hindi lang ipinasok yung pangalan niya?
Well, that is his legal defense. That is his defense that he didn't know that he was doing this and that. But remember, during the Quadcom hearings as well as the Senate hearings last year, two individuals have testified that Mr. Roque went to the PAGCOR to be able to, secure licenses, permits, and assistance for Lucky South 99. And these were PAGCOR Chair Alteco and PAGCOR VP Jessa Fernandez. No? So we used that as part of our evidence against Mr. Roque. But more than that, the case theory that we used has already been sustained by a lower court dito sa Alice Guo case. And we are certain that Alice Guo and her legal team will appeal before higher court, siguro Court of Appeals or maybe Supreme Court directly. So we're hoping that we will be sustained by both higher courts. And once we do so, then we are fairly once we get that, we're very confident that we can secure the same conviction against Mr. Roque.
Okay. And going back to the case of Alice Go, no? Have we been able to establish ever why she was here? Or was she just a Chinese national trying to illegally stay in the Philippines, or was she part of a bigger conspiracy?
The court was able to prove already that she's not a Filipino. The court in Tarlac has already nullified via quo warranto her passport and her birth certificate. Proven na yan that she is not a Filipino national. Second, with regards to the question, were we able to prove that she is part of a criminal conspiracy? Criminal conspiracy, yes. She is part of the Fujian group. Yung Fujian group kasi nito that basically includes her father, Duan Renwo, and Jiang Jie, two individuals who are also known in the Lucky South 99 or PORAC Pogo, are basically ringleaders of the Fujian group. Now, with regards to whether she's part of a spy network and of some sort, that we have no evidence either way. PAOCC remains mum on that because we have no evidence either way.
Yung pong siya po ay may suspicions po that she might be a foreign intelligence asset.
Yes, on that we have no evidence either way, Gretchen. So we're very mum on that. Mahirap mag-ano niyan.
Okay. What will happen now to the Bamban site? Has the government expressed intentions on what this might be turned into?
Initially, it will have to be turned over to the Bureau of Treasury. So then, I guess the Bureau of Treasury will seek the guidance of the Office of the President kung ano ang magiging gamit nito. But we have to remember that as far as the law that convicted Alice Guo, our Anti-Trafficking in Persons Law, Republic Act 9208, portion of the proceeds from the sale, auction, or whatsoever of that property must go to the Department of Justice and Interagency Council Against Trafficking to sustain their anti-trafficking activities.
Okay. And of course, this is just the first of the POGO hubs that should be tried. Kamusta naman po yung paghahabol po natin doon sa iba pang mga POGO companies, and how many illegal workers remain in the country?
let me answer the last question. As far as PAOCC is concerned, we still have 211 in our detention, in our custody, awaiting their deportation proceedings. Medyo natatagalan because some of them are facing criminal charges as well. Some do not have their documents, so to speak, to be able to exit the country. Now, how many Pogo hubs how many Pogo cases do we still have? A good number. In fact, with regards to Alice Guo, she's still facing 52 other criminal and civil charges.
52?
No? Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
That includes anywhere from environmental violations, civil forfeiture, a good number. Now, with regards to PORAC, we've already filed a good number of cases against them, as well as civil forfeiture. The other day, we already submitted for resolution. I filed a criminal complaint against the owner of the hotel that we raided in Lapu-Lapu in October of 2024, because we're proceeding also with civil forfeiture para makuha din po namin yung hotel na yon. Also, I'm on the way to the Department of Justice now to file another criminal complaint against the owners and cohorts of another Pogo that we raided in August of 2023. We're filing August of 2023. We're filing additional criminal charges to make sure that even after that, to be able to ensure that we get the property before the end of this current administration.
Nabanggit niyo ho, no, that you're looking also into PIGOS na maaaring nag-transition yung iba from offshore gaming to inshore gaming. Do we have evidence of that becoming a trend?
Nung nakaraang October, if I'm not mistaken, November of last year, we were able to raid one property in Bataan that we believe was hiding behind the veneer of being a BPO, a business process outsource company. And we're seeing indications of that trend. We've been getting reports from the intelligence communities of the police and the military, as well as the NBI, as well as reports from former workers who are Filipinos saying that some of their Filipino friends, Filipino colleagues, were recruited into such schemes. Hindi nila tinatawag ang kanilang sarili bilang Pogo, tinatawag nila ang kanilang sarili bilang call center agent, CSR. Pero, ang sabi nila at nagpapadala sila ng mga screenshots and so on and so forth, na yung indikasyon ng negosyo ay hindi naman CSR, kundi they're accepting bets from the outside. So sabi namin, that is Pogo. So, hindi lang po kami makapagkasana mga operasyon ngayon sapagkat bagong labas yung batas. The anti-Pogo law was only signed by the President October 17, last month, di ba? So we're waiting na makonstitute yung aming Administrative Oversight Committee with PAOCC as chair, DOJ, DICT, and DILG as members. Nang sa gayon, we'd be able to come up with a new manual of operation sapagkat iba na po itong legal na battle na ito kasi this is purely scamming and purely violations of our law against Pogo.
So wala naman ho na mga Pogo na lumipat sa Philippine market na yun naman po ang tina-target. Kasi yun po yung pagkakaiba niya di ba? You accept bets naman from within and that was the fear actually that they might be victimizing mga Pilipino naman.
Well, there is a very fine line between offshore gaming and inland gaming. The only difference is, yun nga, tama ka, yung bettors who are offshore, mga banyaga, inland ay mga Filipino. So, we are very careful in doing case build-up in relation to this kasi legal yung inland gaming, no? Legal ito legal yung magpapataya sa mga Pilipino. Ang amin na lamang dino-double check is may kaukulang permit po ba ito galing from PAGCOR or wherever? So, now it's
Unlicensed or
up to the
unlicensed
policymakers
na.
to decide on what they do about it.
Okay. Okay, maraming salamat po. Thank you for giving us the latest on the fight against illegal gambling. And as you mentioned, this is a win for PAOCC and for our justice system and sets a precedent for other cases. Maraming salamat for your work on this. We have Winston Castro of the Philippine Anti-Organized Crime Commission.
Thank you very much.
And up next, presidential son Sandro Marcos and the 38 members of the Northern Luzon Alliance have expressed full support for House Speaker Boji D via a signed manifesto. All that and more when Morning Matters returns. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here in One News. Presidential son Sandro Marcos and 38 other lawmakers from the Northern Luzon Alliance have signed a manifesto expressing full support for House Speaker Boji D. The group praised D's steady and impartial leadership and urged colleagues to rise above political noise. Deputy Speaker Ronaldo Puno also denied talk he would replace D, saying he continues to support the Speaker. The alliance likewise issued a separate statement backing President Marcos and his anti-corruption and governance agenda. And joining us now to help us make sense of the latest political developments, we have Professor Edmund Dayao, President and CEO of the Political Economic Elemental Researchers and Strategists, or PEERS. Magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Magandang umaga, Gretchen. Magandang umaga sa mga taga-panood.
Ang dami po nangyari itong linggo. Nagsimula po tayo doon sa 3-day, turn 2-day INC protest and a threat of destabilization. Do you think there was a real threat from either the INC or elements in the military, and have those already been calmed down?
That's quite a complicated question, Gretchen. I don't know where to start. But let me just say that, of course, any mass action, considering our past, our history, is often seen as a threat to an existing government. Again, whether we like it or not, even if the INC has categorically mentioned that their planned the 2-day rally, and even during the 2-day rally that they had, it was palpable, it was quite obvious that they even rejected marchers bring with them streamers or placards saying Marcos resign. Still, there are some elements within the religious organization that has been actively really calling for the resignation of the president. At hindi ito bago, Gretchen. If I may emphasize, and I've been saying this a number of times, as early as October of 2024, if I'm not mistaken. In other words, way before the midterm elections, ang dami ng ganyang mga call for resignation, ang dami ng pangungutya, at ang dami ng was this push for the AFP to withdraw support. Again, this gives you an idea really of what they want to happen, because it follows the same formula that happened in both EDSA's 1 and 2. Ang hindi lang nakikita nung mga gustong magpatalsik sa Pangulo, ibang-iba yung sitwasyon kasi ngayon, Gretchen, nung nangyari yung dalawang EDSA, iisa lang ang organisasyon na armado sa atin, yung AFP, kasama ang kapulisan niyan, kasi Integrated National Police pa noon So kapag nakuha mo ang AFP na mag-withdraw ng support, yun na yun, wala ka nang iisipin pang ibang grupo na kailangan mong makuha ang suporta. Ngayon, bukod sa Philippine National Police na independent na, meron ka pang Philippine Coast Guard, and at the end of the day, you really need to have all these uniform services to your side, Not to mention, of course, that again, natuto naman na siguro tayo, Gretchen, doon sa unang dalawang EDSA at nakita na natin kung anong nagiging epekto nito sa atin. Ano? At talagang ang lumalabas, medyo magulo lang, no? Gulo lang ang gustong mangyari nitong gusto magpatalsik sa Pangulo. At sa parte naman ng Pangulo, siguro pwede na lang nating sabihin, parang nung panahon ng dating Pangulong GMA, na maswerte siya at ang pangalawang Pangulo ay hindi katanggap-tanggap sa karamihan sa atin. Ano? Albeit, of course, ang daming mga batiko sa akin sa social media at sinasabi na bias and so on and so on. Actually, I'm really biased in favor of a sitting president. Not so much because he is a Marcos or what have you. I've a number of times I've been interviewed also during the time of Duterte, and I've been trying to explain the pivot to China and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, we are a constitutional state. So unless, of course, that we want to do away with the Constitution and anarchy na lang, away-away na lang tayo, itanggalin na lang natin. Kasi natuto na nga tayo doon sa dalawang EDSA. Might as well see through the ongoing process to finish and then move on from there.
Even though we are already seeing how flawed our democratic system is and how corruption is deeply entrenched, you still feel the same way. And we're dealing with the top two officials of the land, both embroiled in corruption issues. How do you think public dissatisfaction could be arrested here? Given kitang-kita naman ho, no, in all levels of the government, from the executive to the legislative, to the departments, may corruption po. Ano, you still believe that we should keep with the current system?
Ang daming puntos dyan, Gretchen. Okay, pagpalagay mo na kitang-kita na natin, talagang garapalan na. Anong option natin? Una, ang option natin, pag nag-resign ng Pangulong Marcos, ang papalit ay si pangalawang Pangulong Sara Duterte. Paano ka nakakasiguro na mariresolba ng isang Pangulong Sara Duterte itong mga nangyayari? May track record na tayo makikita at may mga pananalita na pwede nating gamiting basihan para makita natin kung kaya ba at may kakayanan ba at pwede ba nating sabihin malinis ang isang Sara Duterte at ang mga kasamahan niya. Ay nako, medyo ikaw na rin ang may sabi, nasa lahat ng aspeto ng paggogobyerno at hindi lang ang Pangulo, pati ang pangalawang Pangulo tawid dito sa korupsyon na ito. In fact, they've been really trying to paint a very bad picture as far as the current government is concerned, suggesting that all this mess happened only recently, nitong 2022 lang onwards. Pero hindi pa natin tatandaan ilang beses tinanong ang mga diskaya, for example, kailan ba kayo lumaki bilang isang construction? No? At ano ang sagot? 2016, 2019. At nakita pa kung sino mga ka-joint venture nung panahon na yon. At siyempre, deny. Sa madalit sabi, Gretchen, tama ka, talagang garapalan na. Pero it's the whole system that is wrong. We really have to find a way to remedy this. No? So, ang akin lang, kaya nga sinasabi ko kanina, I really, my thinking really is to see through all these investigations. Bakit kamo? Kasi this is not our first rodeo, so to speak. Nakita natin yung Napoles. At ako, talagang, medyo, ang talagang kinaiinisan ko, lalo na nung panahon ng pandemic, nangangamatay na yung mga tao. Ninakawan pa tayo. At sino nakulong dito? Isang lowly undersecretary. Na maniniwala ba tayo na ang isang undersecretary lang ang kayang gumawa ng lahat ng mga major decisions to undertake all those billions of transactions. So sa madalit sabi, pagka ang resulta ng ICI wala tayong nakitang malaking big fish, ika nga, that will be held accountable. And not only one big fish, Gretchen, by the way, we should be able to see really, that because this is systemic, that we should really see no, a good number of them who are actually involved from step 1 to end of the steps, no, to be held accountable. Pag nakita natin yun, then that's when we start thinking about system reforms. What do I mean by system reforms? Hindi lang, alam mo, kaya sabi ko mahabang usapan ito, bakit ba tayo may corruption in the first place, Gretchen? No, sa tagal ng karir natin, no, at matagal na natin pinag-aaralan ito. Bukod tangi ang Pilipinas na halimbawa, ikaw ay may pangalan, sumikat ka, nagkaroon ka ng pera, bored ka na kasi paggising mo sa umaga, nagawa mo na lahat eh. So dahil bored ka na, takbo kaya ako. Ganun ang sistema natin eh. Kahit na sino na gustong na walang magawa, no, tatakbo for public office. Tatanungin mo anong position mo. Sasabihin niya, hindi ko pa iniisip yan kasi hindi pa ako nanalo. O kaya bibigyan ka na lang ng jacket. So yun ang nakakainis. Now, okay, dinanalo ka ngayon. Okay, kumastos ka ng 5 milyon sa kampanya mo. Babawiin mo ngayon yan kasi pera mo yan, Gretchen. Hindi naman katulad sa ibang bansa that when a party nominates you for to run for office, it's the party that bankrolls your campaign requirements, no? At dahil ikaw ang gumastos, babawiin mo ngayon yan. Ngayon nabawi mo 5 milyon, no? Lahat ng nagastos mo. Tingin mo titigil ka sa pagbawi ng 5 milyon? Nakita mo dali pa lang kumuha ng 5 milyon. So gagawin mo ngayon 10 million yan and so on. Kaya ganon, no? Is systemic. Kailangan natin baguhin yung political setup at huling-huli yung tungkol sa DPWH. At itong napakalaking katanungan sa akin ito. Alam ko, kaya napakahirap patunayan kung sino ang may sala dito. Kasi katulad nung nagsasabing safe na siya, no? Kasi ang dali-dali niyang sabihin na hindi naman ako tumanggap ng pera dahil meron ng third party palagi, merong bagman. At bakit bagman? Kasi ang malaking tanong dito, bakit pinapayagan ng DPWH na babayaran yung mga kontratista nila ng cold cash? Parang, alam mo yun, parang nasa Middle Ages pa yata na babayaran mo ang kontratista, hindi ba pwedeng cheque yan? Hindi ba pwedeng bank transfer yan? Bakit ko sinasabi yun? At ito'y ginagawa naman sa ibang ahensya. And I know this because I've been consulting in government for so many years already, and often I'm paid via check or it's deposited in my bank account. And with that practice, meron kang paper trail, Gretchen. Yung bakit bukod tangi itong DPWH, no, babayaran si kontratista, withdrawin in cold cash, ilalagay sa maleta, whether totoong maleta yan o hindi, no? At ibibigay doon sa kontratista. Hindi dapat ganon. Kaya kaya mahirap mong patunayan kasi nga madaling i-deny nung tumanggap na hindi naman ako tumanggap eh. Dahil lang tumanggap yung nagtitinda lang ng balot diyan sa kanto.
So ibig sabihin dapat na lang, hindi na pumayag na cash ang i-disburse when it comes to infrastructure projects para po natitrace lahat.
In all government transactions, Gretchen. Kaya nga nagtatanong lang ako.
Usually po kasi pagka
weird for DPWH to be allowed to do that.
Mga construction worker po kasi madalas kaliwaan po yan eh, mga arawan.
Diba? Yung construction worker, syempre, ang magbabayad yan yung kontratista eh. What I'm saying halimbawa, ikaw ang gobyerno, ako ang kontratista, ako ang kumanong kalye. Hindi mo ko babayaran in cold cash. Ang dami na ng paraan ngayon, may GCash na and everything. So kahit nga sa trabahador, pwede mong bayaran ng fund transfer.
So given what you've mentioned, malaki po nakasalalay dito po sa Office of the Ombudsman, pati na rin sa ICI at pati na rin sa DOJ. And kahit si PBBM na ang naglabas ng statement just this morning saying na lahat ng impormasyon related to the House Speaker at kay Zaldico i-refer sa Office of the Ombudsman and we will go where the evidence leads. Did he make the right move there?
Well, I suppose the President is just keeping his promise that he will keep the public updated as to what's happening. And so far, this is the update. And again, if I may remind the listening public, no, even Mayor Baguio Mayor Benji Magalong, no, who I suppose no, still enjoys public trust and confidence. Even when he was resigned already as a member of ICI, he was asked kung sa tingin niya okay naman yung proceedings ng ICI at sa pagkakaintindi ko, tumutulong pa din siya in some capacity in the investigation, no? At ang sagot niya is maayos ang proseso ng ICI. Of course, I wouldn't be able to say really kung maayos o hindi, no? I mean, one has to be within or one should take part in the process to actually see if it's above board or not. No, but the fact that a public figure like Benji Magalong saying na mukhang okay naman, I'm inclined to think that we can at the very least give them the benefit of the doubt. So titingnan natin talaga kung ano ang magiging end game nito, ano magiging resulta.
And pero kayo po ba ay naniniwala na, I mean, you already mentioned kanina isang USEC in the past cases kung bakit siya lang hindi kaya alam ng mga principal niya, in the same way that people close to the president have been linked to this, the ES having been asked to leave the office, the budget secretary, we have also si Yusek Bersamin, Tragiv Olayvar, and all those names, people around the president. Could he not have known? What is your take on that?
You know, again, going back to the kind of system that we have, if it's even a system, it's very easy, really, no, for a president pwede na sabihin na lang natin ng mas malinaw, no? Pwede siyang madaling maisahan ang Pangulo. At sa totoo lang, yung sinasabi nila na inutil ang Pangulong Marcos kasi naiisahan siya kung totoo man ito. Sa palagay ba ninyo, hindi naisahan ang dating Pangulong Duterte at ang mga nauna pang Pangulo? Kasi nga, sa lawak, you know, we've created a setup where the President is supposed to be all-knowing, no, and all capable, no. Walang yung support system is really very limited, no. Kaya nga masyadong dependent sa kung sinong kilala ng Pangulo para i-appoint yung mga taong kailangan niya. So kahit na hindi qualified, madalas na-appoint. Now, having said that, hindi naman imposible na involved siya. Bakit hindi? Pero kung ikaw ang Pangulo, at sa tingin ko, no, hindi naman tanga ang Pangulo, no, sa umpisa pa lang ilalagay ko na yung mga insertion. In other words, napakadaling gumawa ng kalokohan kung talagang ikaw
mismo. So, hindi po kayo naniniwala dun sa assertions ni Zaldico?
Maraming loophole. And in fact, I'm not the only one who's been saying this. I'm just parroting what the others have already mentioned. No? Unang-una, Gretchen, kung talagang ang objective ng dating Congressman Zaldico ay magsabi ng totoo, tell all, sabi niya, no? Bakit kailangan pa ng AI? No? At marami nagsasabi, hindi naman totoo na AI. Hindi lang naman 2-3 nagsabi na AI yun eh. Kaya nga yung ibang eksperto, ginawan na ng iba pang video, yung same video, no? Ang nagtitinda ng car spare parts, no? May hawak na alam mo yun? So, it really made a fool out of him. And again, assuming that it's an authentic video, Gretchen, huwag na natin pag-usapan yung mga legal technicalities na kailangan sworn in statement and so on. Tingnan na lang natin yung tinatawag niyang resibo. Ano yung resibo niya? Resibo niya, listahan. Alam mo, kahit na anong budget, whether budget sa household or budget sa isang kumpanya, merong laundry list kung tawagin yan. It tell you that there is something wrong with there. And last but not least, I know that we're out of time. When you say insertion, it's not something that is necessarily bad. Tingin mo na ito ng mga DDS para, alam mo yun, gawing kagad na, kasi yun lang yung pwedeng patunayan doon, yung insertion. But insertion is essentially part of the legislative process, Gretchen. A draft legislation always end up significantly different when it's finally passed because from the day it is proposed, dadaan sa napakaraming proseso at maraming insertion, maraming subtraction na nangyayari because it's part of the legislative process.
Sorry po bilang panghuli na po ito, just to wrap up, no? What do you think did the Amy Marcos revelation do for her and for the president? Bilang nabanggit nyo na rin na baka naisahan yung Pangulo, what did that achieve?
Well, I don't know if there's anything significant that it achieved other than medyo na-put off ang mga tao. No? It's really disappointing that, alam mo, ang isang kapatid pa mismo ang gagawa ng ganyang klaseng aksyon. Ano? I'm sure everyone will agree. Kaya nga sabi ni Senator Ping Lacson, parang hindi Pilipino yung ganitong practice. Kasi I'm sure everyone agrees, no? Kahit na gaano kasama yung kamag-anak mo, anak mo, kapatid mo, and so on, you try to solve it within your household as much as possible. No? Pangalawa, alam mo kasi, it's good that you mentioned that, no, albeit towards the last part, talagang kulang na sa oras, mahaba ito. Ang tawag dito, ang unang-unang kritisismo nila sa Pangulo, yun na nga, gumagamit siya ng droga. Hindi nag-stick yan, kaya sila bumalik at kaya sila nagpunta sa corruption, hoping that it will tie to the president and therefore lead to his demise. Kaso hindi pa din nag-work, no? Nag-fizzle out, backfire sa kanila, lumalabas sa kanila din natitrace yung provenance noon. So binalik naman nila ngayon sa drugs na naman. Pero tingnan mo, I'm sure of course you may have know of anyone who uses drugs. The way a person speaks alone will already tell you whether the guy uses or not. Pati yung health, no? Kasi yung health, talagang apektado yan, no? And last but not the least, no? Nako, siguro pwede nating sabihin kahit naman sinong sabi nga nila alta or mayaman or not, although again that's not an excuse. There is always a point in time where one uses drugs for socials or whatever, but I'm sure, no, and the president is quite advanced already in age. I don't think that he still uses it, no, and I don't think it impacts on the way he's been handling the presidency so far.
Okay, all right. Maraming salamat for helping us make sense of the week that was.
I hope I did.
A lot of developments to watch out for, but ultimately, titignan po natin ang ating justice system kung gugulong po ito. Maraming salamat for your time today. We have Professor Edmund Dayao, President and CEO of Peers. Speaking of justice, the Department of Justice said 57 more skeletal remains were recovered from Tal Lake in November as authorities continue their search for the missing Sabongeros. Here's the report.
The Justice Department confirms more skeletal remains have been recovered from Tal Lake this November as the search for the missing Sabongeros continues. In a press conference, DOJ spokesperson Attorney Paulo Martinez said 25 pieces of alleged human remains were recovered on November 6. Additionally, 26 more pieces were found on November 18. On November 17, 6 pieces of bones were recovered along with personal items including black pants with a belt, white underwear, and a piece of cut wheat flour cloth.
On November 6, November 17, and November 18 of these past days, the CIDG Regional Field Unit of Region 4A conducted separate investigations in Tal Lake. This is following the resumption of the investigation and the diving operations, which were, if you recall, were suspended previously because of the typhoon and because of volcanic conditions of the Tal volcano in the area.
The search began on July 10 after Julie Patidongan alleged that missing cockfight enthusiasts were killed and thrown into the lake. The Coast Guard has since retrieved several sacks from the lake bed, some of which contained human bones. So far, none of the DNA samples from the remains have matched the families of the missing Sabongeros.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters on this Friday. We hope we've given you the right start to your day and the weekend. Let's go ahead and make the rest of the day matter. My name is Gretchen Ho. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time.